emperor was hugely impressed because the fish soup reminded him of his homeland Kaifeng up north. Splendid sunrise, beautiful lotuses, well worth waking up early in the morning for. But now I'm beat, so I think I'm just gonna chill out here. By here, I mean here in the hotel, not the hotel room. This hotel has lots to see. It'd be a shame to miss them. As I mentioned in the first episode of this series, since the central theme is lotus on the West Lake, we decided to stay at a place on the West Lake, the Neo Hotel. Its name might sound peculiar in English and even in Chinese, but the name was actually inspired by a line in the ancient text, the Book of Rites, which may be roughly interpreted as something like to treat every day as a new day and thus to try new things, to think ahead. The new hotel does live up to this inspiration. Two examples of trying new things and thinking ahead are the hotel's English name and logo, which were already conceived and designed in the earliest days of the hotel's establishment, unheard of in that bygone era. How bygone? The first buildings of the hotel dates to 1896. Today, the century-old buildings stand on Beishan Street across from the picturesque Baidi or Bai Causeway, alongside rows of other protected historic architectures. The complex opened its doors as the new hotel in 1913. Since then, it has hosted a legion of notable guests, including foreign visitors such as John Dewey and Ryunosuke Akutagawa. So unlike what the name might imply, the new hotel is actually one of the oldest extant and most legendary hotels in Hangzhou. The name of the restaurant, 1913, is inspired by the year of the hotel's inception. And the restaurant carries on many of the new mentality of the hotel as well, as the menu here abounds with some new fashion dishes. However, since the theme of this video is Lotus of the West Lake, and we are on the shore of the West Lake, I feel like it's more appropriate if we talk about a dish very representative of the West Lake. For instance, 西湖醋鱼, the West Lake fish with vinegar gravy. The West Lake fisher isn't a species, but rather a preparation method that was invented here in Hangzhou. The creator is a lady chef called Song Wuzang from the Song dynasty. The two Song here are unrelated. Song Wuzang has nothing to do with the imperial family of the Song dynasty, which was surnamed Zhao. If that's the case, why was the dynasty named Song? Let me explain this a little bit. If you're ready for some Chinese history, hit that like. And if you recall from the first episode of this series, I cited a poem written during Southern Song dynasty. Before Southern Song, there was Northern Song, which was named after the city of Hangzhou up north. That was where the dynasty's founding emperor first established his power and domain. The etymology of Song dynasty echoes that of Han dynasty, which was named after the city of Hangzhou, where the dynasty founder Liu Bang first rose to prominence. I did a whole series on the city, and one related video is linked below. So next to Songzhou is the city of Kaifeng, which became the capital of Song Dynasty. Everything was going well for the Song folks until the Jurchens showed up and went on a rampage. So Song forces were decimated, and the Song folks had to 不用谢谢 and the Song folks had to retreat to the south. They conceded the northern part of their territory and eventually founded Southern Song Dynasty with capital here in Hangzhou, back then known as Lin'an. Lin'an is so named because, well, according to one theory, so named because it means transitory settlement or temporary peace, sort of like hinting that the Song forces would regroup and retake what they had lost. But they didn't. But they did enjoy a period of peace. During one such peaceful days, the emperor then, Emperor Gaozhong of Southern Song, he toured the West Lake and ate a fish soup prepared by Song Wusao. So all this history is now coming back to Song Wusao. And supposedly the emperor was hugely impressed because the fish soup reminded him of his homeland, Kaifeng up north, which was conquered by the Jurchens. So he inquired about the chef, and Song Wusao also said that she fled from Kaifeng and came down south. Because of the emperor's patronage and praises, Song Wusao was catapulted into the limelight and became famous for her fish dishes. Dish in the story is Song Sao Yu Geng, variously translated as Sister Song's fish soup, etc. Another one of her famous dishes is this, Sihu Chuyu, the West Lake fish with vinegar gravy. Due to Song Wusao's background from the north, many historians theorize that the West Lake fish with vinegar gravy was adapted from some northern fish dish. Of course, this is up to debate. The fish usually used is grass carp, which is one of the most commonly eaten species in China. Some restaurants upgrade their offerings by using other types of fish, such as bass or mandarin fish, or they use marble goby here at 1913. The sticklers insist that grass carp is the way to go because of its grassy fishiness. So yes, the grassy fishiness is actually desirable because when coupled with the vinegar sauce, the result is supposed to taste like crab meat. The crabs we talk about here are not salty sea crabs, but rather freshwater crabs. Freshwater crabs have a more delicate and slightly fishier taste, which is why we Chinese often pair freshwater crabs with vinegar. The renowned restaurant Lao Wai Lao, which I briefly touched on in an earlier episode, is famous for their West Lake fish. Back in the days, one of their special techniques was to keep the grass carp in the lake and then starve the fish for a day or two before slaughtering and serving in order to get rid of some of that excessive grassy fishiness. So it's sort of like detox and fasting. Supposedly, this restaurant also employed the same technique. At least they did. Back in the days, when the kitchen was helmed by the Hangzhou-born and highly decorated chef Xu Burong, who would eventually be promoted to run the entire hotel. Another technique that they supposedly use here pertains to boiling, whereas other places would put the fish in cold water and then heat up everything together. Here, they would put a fish into boiling water, which would drop the water temperature. And then when everything comes to a boil, cold water would be added, and then the pot will be brought to a boil again. After adding cold water twice, as in bringing the pot to a boil thrice, the fish is extracted and then drenched in the brown tangy sauce. Supposedly, it produces this flavor and texture that really tastes like crab meat. No, almost. Sounds too fishy? Impossible? Don't take my word for it. Come try the dish for yourself. Now, come and see the real beautiful China when it's feasible. Come to Hangzhou and feast on the 西湖醋鱼. 再见.